lots of thoughts trying to come out at the same time. But,
The American Secretary of State, Pete Hegseth, said that NATO membership for Ukraine is unrealistic. Our Prime Minister and Foreign Secretary are saying today that Ukraine is on an irreversible path to NATO membership. Who's right?
Well, look, I think first of all NATO countries have given enormous support to Ukraine. And ultimately, Trevor, it is obviously for Ukraine and for NATO to determine Ukraine's membership. And that is something that obviously Ukraine as a country, and we've heard this constantly from President Zelensky, that is where they want to be. That is their aspiration. And I really think, as I've said previously, and I think many of us have said, this is all about Ukraine, and they need to be able to determine their future. They are a sovereign country. They are fighting for their freedom and their sovereignty. And quite frankly, it is absolutely down to them to, choose the course that they wish to go alongside with NATO. And I think NATO allies and countries will continue those discussions with them.
So were you Foreign Secretary, you would support their application for NATO in the full knowledge that that might mean that we would actually have to fight, actually have to put boots on the ground?
Well, I think, look, Britain's position has been pretty much unequivocal from day one. Look at the intensive support and, quite frankly, the right support that we have provided to Ukraine. We were the ones that were leading the Ukraine effort, Trevor, and you will know this, and have been at the outset and over the last 3 years, whether it was providing Storm Shadow missiles or Challenger 2 battle tanks, as well as the multi-year financial commitments that we put in. So I actually think that, NATO allies and countries have effectively not just been supporting Ukraine, but effectively been paving the way for them to become a member. And that is something that, has clearly been part of our collective focus in recent years. And I think it continues to be now.
That is a description of the past. But what we were discussing was you would support their membership of NATO, which would mean, Article 5, that in current circumstances, we would have to put British troops on a Ukrainian soil.
Priti Patel stumbles over US President's free speech claim. Hi everyone, do you remember when Keir Starmer was leader of the opposition and before the election he met with European leaders for informal talks? Traitor! Betrayal! He's going to sell Brexit from under our toes. What is the man doing? You was all shouting. Yet the Tories and their media allies were outraged about it, some calling him a traitor. So how can anyone explain to me why Priti Patel travelled to Munich for a security conference representing a party that isn't in power anymore and probably won't be for a long fucking time? And with reform going the way they're going, might even cease to exist. And who's funding her trip? She was asked by Victoria Derbyshire whether it is acceptable for the US Vice President to interfere in UK affairs, and her response was absolute bullshit. When asked if she agreed with the Vice President's statement that the freedom of speech is more of a threat than Russia or China, she rambled on about her past experience with freedom of expression and speech issues when she was Home Secretary. No one gives a fuck. And then tried to avoid directly addressing the question. She ended up talking about Britain's long-standing support for Ukraine, deflecting from the topic at hand. Honestly, Priti Patel seems more angry at the journalist than she does at JD Vance or any of the others. It's absolutely ridiculous. Why is it that people like JD Vance, Donald Trump and Elon Musk can spout absolute bollocks and nonsense about Britain and Trump, but our politicians just shrug it off or even agree? Why is it always a one-way traffic? I don't understand why we don't have politicians who will stand up to these charlatans. China doesn't meddle in Brazilian politics. Russia doesn't criticise India's internal issues. So why the fuck are these figures constantly throwing insults at Britain? How is it that no one stands up for our country? If I was a politician, whether in government or opposition, I'd respond politely but firmly. I'd say something like, look, JD, look, man, you're entitled to your opinion, but that doesn't mean he's right. If he wants to talk about something, he should make sure that he understands the issue. For example, we don't give a fuck about your school shootings or your lack of universal health care because those are your internal matters, so it shouldn't be working the other way around. Why is it that we never push back on things like US gun violence, sky-high cost of insulin? Should we be commenting on their issues? I doubt the US would be too happy about it whatsoever. But in the UK and Europe, we just have to take it. We have to be dogs and just take it all the time. We have to let people insult us because it's not about trade or security. We don't have to listen to Donald Trump when he talks about abortion or freedom of speech, especially when he clearly doesn't understand the fucking issues in the first place. So when will our politicians ever stand up to these bastards? Probably not, because most of them are just absolutely spineless. Just like Patel, who's more critical of a journalist asking legitimate questions than she is of someone across the pond who doesn't give a shit about Britain. But let me know what you think in the comments. I've been Jake from Just Jake. As always, subscribe to the channel. Feel free to buy me a beer and support the channel. And I'll see you next time. You actually made it to the end of the video. If you would like to subscribe to the channel, which, why haven't you already, is somewhere over there. And also, if you want to watch more videos, also check out over there. I've been Jake from Just Jake. See you later.